Here's a few tips, tricks, and techniques I want to run past you. Please write these things down, guys. I'll go slow to make sure that I don't skip over any of these bullet points here, because these are all extremely, extremely important. Number one, guys, you have to seclude yourself. Seclude yourself in your home. If you have an office with a door grate, convert your bedroom for the next 2 weeks into an office, your garage, your basement, doesn't matter. But you've got to get organized, and you have to eliminate any and all distractions, from your kids to your spouse, to your dog, to your cat, to your bird, whatever, guys. Guys, you got to get focused on getting great at selling over the phone. And when you're working on your home, it is so extremely easy to get distracted. And I go back to a dog. If you got dogs in your home, or a dog, and that dog comes in your room periodically, or wherever you're operating out of, it's real easy. Oh, hey, what's going on, Sparky? Da, da, da. That's a distraction, guys. You have to be relentlessly hyper-focused and literally get into that zone. This is more of a mental thing over the phone than it is out there in person. And guys, you know how much a mindset plays a vital role into being successful in this business. The phone, ratchet that up about 3 to 4 times. So seclude yourself and get extremely, extremely organized. When I talk about organized, guys, I'm the way that I used to do this, more of an old school way, where I'd have these little filing bins, and I would label it. You'd have the hours from 9 to 10. 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 9 o'clock. So when somebody says, oh, yeah, I'm busy at the moment, call me back at 4 o'clock. I would print up my leads and I would put it in the 4 o'clock bin. You can schedule it on your calendar, your notes, however you schedule your appointments. This was my system, that I would literally print up all the leads, and I would take notes on the leads. When somebody says, call me back at 4 o'clock later on today, I'm actually at the grocery store right now. But call me back. I should be home by 3:30, so call me back at 4. Fine, no problem, Margaret. I'll definitely do that. And hang up the phone. I'll write 4 o'clock, and I'll put it in the 4 o'clock bin. So come for it every hour, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. I'd pull that bin and say, all right, here are the people that want me to follow up with them this hour. When somebody says, I'm out of town, but I'll be back home on Friday, I'll be back Friday morning. Well, then I've got the other bins: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturdays. When I did work a Saturday, I would file that lead and I'd put it Friday. And every morning when I woke up, I would grab Wednesday's bin. I'd pull those leads and I'd sort it out. Okay, this person said call them in the morning, so I'll call that person at 9. This one said afternoon. This one said Wednesday at 4 o'clock, and I'll put it to 4 o'clock. That was my system, guys. That's how I did it. Find your own system, but you got to get organized. And again, eliminate any and all distractions. Make sure your phone is fully charged, guys. Make sure that when you take any breaks, or when you take a lunch, or when you take a you take your dinner, that you plug your phone back in. Let that thing charge while you're not on it. So when you're in the middle of a call, or towards the tail end of a call, and you forget to check the battery life on your phone, and then lo and behold, your phone goes dead. I learned that lesson the hard way early on, to where I had like a 3-phone system. I used the landline, one of the old school landlines, before I got an office line that was plugged in. Those things were battery operated. And, where one was started to go dead, I'd hang it up and I'd switch over to another one. I trust that most everybody's going to be using their cell phones, which you have one of those. So just make sure that they keep that thing on charge when you are not on it. Even if you're going to take a little 5-minute potty break, plug it in and get some juice added to that thing until the next time you hop back on it. Guys, use a quality headset. I recommend surround sound to help remain focused on what's being said and block out any background noise, or in my case, screaming kids, from being a distraction. um, I used to use those traditional headsets where, you've got, it would hover over one ear and you'd have the microphone extended in front of your mouth, but the other ear was exposed. And I just didn't like that, guys. Whenever I get on the phone, um, period. And this isn't just selling. This is just normal everyday conversation. And this is the way that I have been for several years now, that when you guys see me on the phone, you see I use a headset, and I have ear pods in both ears. Why? Is because, man, when I'm on the phone with anybody, I am fully engaged in that conversation. I don't want to hear what's going on in the outside world. I am focused on you and only you, and everything that you are telling me, as every conversation, personally, professionally, it doesn't matter, is extremely important to me. Use a quality headset, guys. And again, I do recommend a surround sound type of headset to remain focused on what's being said, and to also help eliminate or reduce or block out any background noise or distractions. And talking about distractions, guys, as I am working out of my home this week and next week as well. So I have an office here in my home. The office is right next to the living room. And I do have a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old that loves to scream multitudes of times throughout the day. So where am I talking to you guys from in my home? I am literally in my closet. I have a cardboard table that is set up with my computer, my iPad, my resumes, everything, guys. I am literally sitting in my closet. I am sitting underneath my wife's clothes at the moment. Because I've got a lot of barriers from, the door to her bedroom that locks, to the door to the bathroom that locks, to the door to the closet here that doesn't lock, but it's an extra barrier. So it reduces the chances of my boys coming into our room, into the bathroom, into the closet, or when they're screaming, or there's just a lot of noise, as they like to play very loud and very hard. Instead of me trying to work out of my office and to have those distractions and, dare I say it, unprofessionalism when you've got random screaming kids in the background, and it happens. They're 6 and they're 8. God bless my boys, but they're just boys. That's what I'm doing, guys. Even though I got an office in my home, I'm sitting in my closet right now. You know why? Because I'm doing whatever it takes to get the job done, guys. Ain't nothing going to hold me back. I'm going to move forward, and I'm going to keep moving forward. If I had to, guys, I'd make my office in my car, and I would just sit in my car in the garage, and I would do business there, okay? Whatever it takes, guys, to get the job done. Make sure you have plenty of leads to call on. Make sure that you have plenty of leads to call on. I recommend, first of all, working your old inventory first to practice with. A lot of you guys like Gary and Steve and even Trisha and Kenny J and several others, you guys been with us for a while now, and you have a lot of inventory that you can go back on. There are a lot of areas that you haven't visited, in 6, 7, 8+ months or over, a couple of years. Guys, I'd recommend starting there. Direct mail leads, and I'll get to this in my next point, but they're not the most ideal to work over the phone. But when you've got your own B leads that are archived of people that you just never made contact with the last time that you were in Moberly, Missouri, or the last time that you were in Rantoul, Illinois, or wherever it was that was 30, 40, 50 minutes, hour and a half away, break out that stack, guys. And practice on those. You have everything to gain and absolutely nothing to lose. Get comfortable with the process and get a few victories before we graduate to working fresh, brand new leads. Now, once you have gotten into somewhat of a rhythm, then I do strongly recommend everybody to work either Facebook or TV, or both. Facebook and TV leads, guys. Facebook and TV leads, they are proven to close at a higher ratio than direct mail leads. And I'm not saying that you can't close a direct mail lead. From '09 to 2012, we had 6 to 9 month spurts where all we worked were TV leads. That was it. Just TV leads, TV leads, TV leads, TV leads, TV leads. And then boom, the commercial came to a halt. No more TV leads. So then we switched gears and we started working 100% direct mail over the phone. And I didn't prefer it. I didn't like it because I knew the direct mail leads just have a lower closing ratio over the phone. They just require a little bit more finesse and skill set. But at the end of the day, when you're 100% over the phone and the only lead that you have to work is a direct mail lead, you figure it out, and I did. But at the end of the day, if you have a choice, which we do, then you need to be working Facebook leads and TV leads. But direct mail leads, lead direct mail leads, they are great, great leads to get your feed wet. Once you really get into a rhythm, folks, then I highly recommend that you start working live transfers off of leads away. You cannot speak to a prospect while their level of interest is any higher. You can't. They just called. They just saw that commercial. Or sometimes a yellow page. They just called in off the yellow page. They're ready to buy some burial insurance. And guys, you've seen our commercials. And for those who don't recall or have never seen it, then go to YouTube and do a search, senior life insurance commercial. And the commercials will pop up. So they are solid leads. And when that prospect calls in and that thing is transferred directly to your phone, you cannot talk to that person while their level of interest is any higher. But the more important thing is that you're going to swing the bat. In other words, you're going to be able to pitch 100% of every lead that you actually purchase. Versus if there are TV leads that are in the inventory, which I get those inventories that are not purchased within 10 days, every Tuesday and Thursday, or Facebook leads where they click on a button, you've got to get that person on the phone. And there's just going to be a small percentage of those, and I'm going to say probably around 20-25% of them, that they're just not going to answer the phone. They're not going to return the call. Or even if they do answer the phone, again, you've got to, from the very beginning of the call, make sure that you eliminate the preconceived idea that these people are going to immediately have that, you're a telemarketer. And you have to immediately establish and identify yourself as an advisor, as the agent, as the senior benefit coordinator calling them back. On the live transfer, guys, you don't have to worry about all that. They call the insurance company, it transferred directly to an underwriter, and there you are. So live transfers are sweet. They are pay as you go, as you set your credit card or debit card up on file. When those live transfers come in, it'll bill that credit card that you have on file. But man, you swing the bat at 3 of those, you close 1, your return on investment is times 3. So is it worth it? Yeah. But make sure that you get comfortable first before you ever think about starting to work live transfers. Guys, just like when you're out there in the field, set your work schedule and stick to it. It's just like in the field, guys. They're as night and day different as selling over the phone is to working in the field. There are things that are just absolutely identical. It is the same, kind of like objections and rebuttals, mindset, all these things. Well, another thing is your work schedule. Set your work schedule. If you tell yourself, I'm going to work from 9 to 7 or from noon to 6, for those who've got kids and, they're not in school and you don't have a day or whatever, set your work schedule and stick to it. Activity. Guys, here's the thing. You're going to have to make twice the amount of phone presentations to close the same amount you typically would over the phone. That's just the reality. I'll say it again. You're going to have to make twice the amount of phone presentations in order to close the same amount of production that you typically would over the phone. Okay? So, reasons for it, I hate to keep using Trish as an example, but that she just comes to mind. One of the cases that she was about to write over the weekend, The lady spent 35 minutes trying to find her banking information, and she couldn't find it. And this is one of those cases where Trish and I, we both believe the client was really looking for it. I don't think it's after 35 minutes. And guys, you can tell when these people are really, doing what they're supposed to do versus just sometimes these people are trying to put you off and they put the phone down, but you can hear them in the background laughing and watching TV or whatever, and they're just waiting for you to hang up. And those things happen too. But there are also, those who really are looking for their medications, or they're trying to find their account number and routing number. And you can hear them talking, I'm still trying to find it. Hang tight. I'm sorry. And they're literally having a conversation with themselves. 35 minutes, finally the lady got back on the phone, and Trish like, I've got to go. If you find it, or I'll follow up with you at a later time. But those things happen, guys. You just don't have as much control over the phone as you do out there in the field. And so there are a lot of other examples as to, why, but without getting into those details that at this point doesn't matter. The bottom line here is that, if you typically work 40 leads to write $4,000 or 20 leads to write $4,000 worth of production in the field, you need to be taking 40. If you're normally taking 30, then you need to take 60. If you're normally taking 40, you need to take 80. And guys, there is no shortage of B leads that Steve and I can hook you guys up with. From I can pull in my archives, I can contact Senior, we'll flip the bill for it, doesn't matter. B lead direct mail leads in the state of Illinois, state of Kansas, state of Missouri. We've got plenty of B and C leads that we can hook you up with. And we've got Facebook campaigns that are currently running to generate, a lot of Facebook leads to get us through these next couple of weeks here, guys. Doesn't matter where the lead is. It's just an opportunity at half the price. But the bottom line is that's what I'm talking about. Activity. You need to be constantly dialing or talk time. And Shiver's benchmark is 4 hours a day. If you are actively talking on the phone 4 hours a day, actual conversation every day, you're going to do pretty well. You're going to write some business, but so keep that in the back of your head. One of the things, and I've watched a few telesales training, telesales tips and things like that. And one of the tips that was passed on that I also agree with is that, most agents, and I think, this is true in the field as well, they just don't put in the necessary dials and the necessary effort to really be successful. They just don't. This goes hand in hand with distractions, guys. People allow distractions to get in the way. I mean, you want to talk about discipline. When you're out there in the field, technically, what else would you be doing? I guess you could be sitting in the park, underneath a shady tree on a nice spring day and playing on your phone, flipping through Facebook, checking your emails, whatever. But for the most part, when you're out there in the field, especially more than 15, 20, 30 minutes away from your home, most people are going to, work. They're going to perform because they've already invested that time and gas and the expenses to get out of the home. But when you're in your home, guys, it is 10 times easier to let these little bitty distractions just absolutely get in your way. And you think the days of a final expense agent fly by when you're out there in the field? Just wait, guys. They fly by 10 times faster when you're working in the comfort of your home, in your boxer shorts, in your pajamas, in your sweatpants. And, before you know, you blink your eyes and 30 minutes you just wasted checking your emails or, watching this one little clip on The View or, whatever TV show it is, or getting on Facebook or doing a load of laundry or feeding the cat or what, guys. You've got to be disciplined. You've got to be disciplined. That's all I'm going to say. Most agents don't put in the necessary dials and put in the necessary effort to really, really be successful in selling over the phone. So make sure you have an adequate amount of leads on inventory. Make sure you set your hours of when you're going to be working and be relentlessly discipline and focus, and go to work. Now, another thing, as I'm wrapping this up, don't get discouraged, guys. Don't get discouraged. Just like in the field, guys, you could go all day and you can make several presentations and not write one single app. And then the very next day, boom, you could write 2, 3 in a row, just like that. Boom, boom, boom. So one day, you made 5 presentations and you're like, shit, man, this is stupid. I'm wasting my time. And then panic starts coming in and, oh my God, what did I get myself into? And this isn't fair. Da, da, da. Guys, keep your mindset straight. Don't get discouraged. Don't let panic get in the way, because you're going to figure this out. You really could, right, and you will when you get in rhythm, knock 2, 3, 4 in a row out. It's also really easy to tell yourself, man, gosh, if I was there in person, I would have closed that one. And if I was just there, man, I know I would have got that deal. I know I wouldn't have left until she would have found her account number. I know it. I know it. Man, I had her right there in the palm of my hand. And, sometimes that could be true. So be sure that you stop. First of all, be sure that after that call, stop and do some reflection before you make your next call. Okay, ask yourself, what could you have done differently? And learn from those missed opportunities, and then try a different approach the next time you get back on the phone and that occurs. Either way, guys, you eventually got to shrug it off, and then you got to move on to your next call. Another thing is, guys, as I'm assigning us, I assigned a lot of additional leads yesterday to people like Bailey. I sent some to I think Sukarno. I think I sent some to, no, I didn't send any to Sukarno. A handful of you guys. Darius, I sent some to Darius. When I'm assigning these leads, guys, I'm always going to try to assign these leads that are closest to you or in the areas that you're currently working. Some of these leads are going to be on the other side of the state. It is what it is to give you some leads and give you some activity. But the point I'm making here is that, if you couldn't sell somebody over the phone, for this, that, or the other reason that, they couldn't find their policy, they couldn't find their bank account, then make a note of that. So when we return back to the field, guys, file that lead, don't throw it away, and, knock on that person's door. And guys, you've already got 3 legs up on that person. You've already got all their information. If they had any coverage, if they didn't have any coverage, what their reason for looking into this was. You've got everything that you need on that person, and you get your foot back in the door, build a little bit of rapport, and then get right back into it. Say, listen, at the end of the day, now that we're, we have resumed back to normal business, listen, you need to understand these benefits. This is something you've been looking for 3 years. And I understand this was over the phone, but clearly you just didn't understand the blessings that you can partake in, and that your family needs you to have in place to make sure that they're going to be okay. And so that's why I'm here. Let's go over that. And that's just it. So file these leads, guys. When you have those opportunities where you think, man, if I was just there in person, man, if I could have just showed them this, man, if I could have just reviewed that policy, man, if, file that lead. And if it's within a pretty close distance from where you live, or the areas that you've been working, man, file that lead and see that person the next time that you're in that area when we return back to the field. 50% of the time, guys, you'll get your foot in the door and you will still end up closing that appointment. Opening paragraph. When you guys got the telesales script, whether it's a Facebook lead, TV lead, direct mail lead, you have your opening response, that first paragraph on what to say and how to lead off into the script. As if I didn't say this enough the first time last Friday, let me say this again, guys. In that when you're the first 5 seconds, the first 15 words within the first paragraph where you see the periods, there really are no periods. The period is really kind of like a hidden comma as you're, doing a pregnant pause, but you're constantly moving forward. The one thing I would need to make sure you all understand is do not pause. That opening paragraph, do not pause. Keep moving forward, guys. Keep moving forward. Just like scheduling appointments. When you're calling your leads and you are setting appointments over the phone, do not pause. You have to keep moving forward. Do not allow your prospect a chance to breathe or respond until you get to the point where you start building rapport. I cannot stress that enough. Do not pause. Keep moving forward. Kenneth, Jordan, you wouldn't know anything about that, would you, brother? I know he's on the phone listening this morning. And Ken, I know you're smiling because you had to learn that the hard way. Instead of applying the training last Friday, you had to figure that out the hard way after not one, but two. But guys, all jokes aside, do not pause. You have to constantly be moving forward until you get to the point where you start building some rapport. And the second point here is I cannot stress enough how vital building rapport is when selling over the phone. Guys, building rapport is 5 times more important than it is in person, because when you're there in person, first of all, they see you, that you're a live human being. They can, pinch your skin, and, they can see you writing stuff, and they see, how you present yourself, and, how you dress and all that, that all that kind of plays a part in building rapport. And really you're building rapport all throughout the appointment. But on the phone, it is a whole different animal in terms of the importance of building rapport is when selling over the phone. Guys, they've got to like you. They've got to feel comfortable with you before they will buy from you. They got to know, like, and trust you. If they don't know you, if they don't like you, and if they don't trust you, guess what? They're not going to buy from you over the phone. So you've got to build that rapport over the phone. You have to spend a little bit extra time, around 5 to 7 minutes. Now in the field, we say up to 5 minutes, but not to exceed 5 minutes. Over the phone, that's different. Over the phone, at least a minimum of 5 minutes. See the difference there? No, not to exceed 5 minutes in the field. At a minimum 5 minutes over the phone. I'd say about 5 to 10 minutes. Now, you don't want to spend the next half hour just building rapport and shooting the bull with these people. And then what's the most important thing that you lost? Control. You don't have no control over that phone call. And so going back, you've got to immediately establish, retain control. Do not pause. Keep moving forward. But make sure that when you get to the building rapport section, that you really build rapport and spend an adequate amount of time getting these people to know you, like you, and to trust you. Now, I'm going to pause here, and Tricia, I'm going to lean on you for just a minute. Tricia, if you don't mind, would you mind explaining to me and to the rest of the group, what you're adding to the very beginning of that call? To, basically you're having to punch these people in the face, verbally to get their attention and make sure that these people know that you're a real person, that typically you handle this over the phone, but due to, the current situation, yada, 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 to get these people, to make sure that these people know that you're a live human being, that you're really an advisor of state regulated program. But due to the current situation that we're now for your protection, but also for our protection, we're doing this over the phone. Would you mind kind of going over what you say at the very beginning of the call to keep these people on the phone, allowing you to complete a full presentation with them?
Yeah. Betty, hi, this is Tricia Walker. I am the Director of Underwriting with Senior Life. I'm a state-appointed underwriter that normally sees people face-to-face. I want to go into this before I even go into what I'm calling you about, just because I realize there is so much going on in the world right now, and There's Medicare, there's scams, there's this, there's that. We are not none of those, and typically we see people face to face, and they are pulling some of the highest geared people with Senior Life for your protection and mine and my family and your family. So I'm going to conduct our business today and your benefits that I'm getting ready to provide you with over the phone. Okay, I just want to let you know for your safety before we go any further, Betty. Okay.
And why
And it's
have
not
you
just
added
like that.
that? And why have you started saying that, Trisha?
Well, there's just so much pushback. People are scared. People have went through being beaten with open enrollment, and people have been beaten up with the grandma scam, the AARP scam, the every scam that all these foreigners are doing. And I don't have a problem with foreigners. I'm saying there's just a lot of phone messiness out there, and the people we're dealing with, our generation of people, are reluctant, and they need to be immediately reassured. And then once you cover those bases, you do hear, okay, this is legitimate. It's a sigh of relief. I haven't, once I do that, and I'm able to do that, obviously, just to get somebody on the phone, they're captivated. They're, when you give yourself a title, doesn't matter, director of underwriting, sounds real official. Who cares? But give yourself something that sounds that like they're getting something that's not ordinary. I wouldn't just say, hey, I'm an agent with Senior Life, and I know it's a pandemic and everything. Don't do that. Go in hard, but professional. Go in hard and let them know who you are, and you're giving this specific, very special phone call to them out of not only their safety but protection, but of urgency. We don't know how long this is going to last, out of urgency. So there's this motives behind it. I think you guys get that. And so, it goes back to like us wearing a badge. It goes back to, what clothes you wear when you go out, what your body language is. That's just a way of building credibility like we do physically when we walk into a house. So I'm building my credibility within the first 10 seconds, so I have them on the hook.
Trisha, are there any other tips that you would like to share real quick that you have learned on your own these past handful of days as you've now been doing this over the phone?
Yeah, to piggyback on the being fluent and not stopping in the beginning is very important. If you break that first part up, you'll fail. So that is important, and that is something that I found. I knew that the couple times that in the beginning that it was choppy, I felt like there was that uncomfortable, do they realize that I'm reading type of,
Right.
I would tell you this, don't start doing this and try to train yourself while you're doing it. I would tell you, read it 10 times, maybe before you go to bed or when you wake up, before you get on the phone. That way your mouth has just jogged the avenue. You kind of even if you do stop, you kind of know where you are in place instead of trying to reread it and figure out what that last thing you said was, because you can put yourself in a position where that will loosen the credibility. That will make the person on the other end say, "Oh, just read me something. This is more sales garbage." So I would tell you, practice what you're saying. I am actually today putting my script physically in a free binder so I can flip it. And what I mean by that is I actually thought about using a music easel, but you can't hold that many pages. So to have the script in front of you where you can easily flip from page to page and kind of highlight. So what I'm doing is the first part where the first part before the discovery, I may highlight all that yellow, and then my discovery I'll highlight pink, and then my funding portion green and my planning portion a different color and so on. My point is that to map it out, it makes you have better placement and flow. And people do that when they are screenwriters, actors do that, mathematicians do that. There's a lot of reasons why they do that, but the biggest reason is to be able to jump right back in because you tend to memorize what's colorful or visual. And so that's just a little thing that I'm doing on my end. And then I also am, I have did what he's did. So I have a home office too. I have a 3-level house, and I have to get away from everybody but going back into my bedroom because it's a buffer. It's on the top floor. People tend to not want to come up there. The bathroom's right there. I can lock my door, and I have like 2 TV tables set up where my iPad is, one place, and then I'm going to, like I said, have my binder somewhere else, so I can just easily breeze through this. I have my leads sitting one place, so it's important to have it all right in front of you because you're doing things like, like Harvey Hines. I want to be able to talk to Harvey like, I've talked to him for 20 years. So if I want to look back and see that he lives on Beacon Avenue, some people aren't as good as others as just remembering something after the first time you've seen it. So to be able to reference and make them feel like there is an actual file, I always use that. Well, let me look at your file. So they actually think that I've got, substance. I'm sitting on the other line. I'm not unprepared. I'm not just trying to get their information. I already have most of their information because they have applied to me. I'm not calling you and soliciting you. I'm calling you because you asked me to call you. So it goes back to the mindset of when we go into the home, I'm not here because I'm selling. Oh no. I'm here because you inquired, you asked for these benefits. It's my job to deliver and educate your benefits to you. So you kind of have to bring the mindset over to the phone. It'll make you feel better too. It'll give you confidence instead of just the whole. And that didn't come from the first phone call, by the way. That's all those little nuggets come from making some calls.
Just doing it, yeah. And spot on with that. Great feedback, guys. That it's almost like Trish is explaining the mindset that I have right after I complete dialing their phone number, and as the phone is ringing, guys, I mean, I literally mentally put myself in tunnel vision, and that is the immediate perception I want my prospect to have of me, that when they answer the phone, the guy that they hear on the other line is wearing a suit with a tie, sitting in his office behind a desk on the 20th floor in downtown St. Louis. And what's this? Margaret Johnson. Okay. So it looks like Miss Johnson had called in wanting to know about this program. Okay. Let's see if I can get Miss Johnson on the line here. Let me see what I can do to help her out. In other words, I do not want that person in any way, shape, matter, or form to have any kind of a preconceived idea that I am a $10 an hour glorified telemarketer, phone solicitor at all. I want their image of me to be that first person that I described. And that's how I do it. First of all, it's 90% mental, but it's also the way that you communicate with that person, the way that the script is read, and it's not what you say, but it's also, more importantly, it's how you say it. So whatever it takes, guys.
I think just so you know, this was a big one, and everybody take this. When you say to them and you put yourself in a position, and I mean like a positionally hierarchy, a title, they feel as if not only the integrity but the credibility, but they feel at ease. So by saying, Betty, my name is Tricia Walker, and I am the director of underwriting with Senior Life Insurance Company. And Senior Life has asked a choice few of us that have the authority to underwrite over the phone to call a list of particular people, and you're on that list, Betty. So I just want to let you know who I am and that this is going to be not only a safe phone call, but this is going to be a phone call not only for your protection, but we're going to be able to get your benefits done today in a unique process that ordinarily we just don't do.
Good stuff there. Last thing here, guys. You have to assume this is an assumed sale. In the home, sometimes it's necessary to do the assumption, but on the phone, you're assuming the entire way, guys. When you're calling the number, you got to assume that they're going to answer. You assume when they answer that they're going to talk to you. You assume that when they talk to you that they're going to talk to you for 45 minutes. You assume that, when you're talking to them, that they're going to love the benefits. You assume that they're going to love the features and love the options that you gave them. You assume that they're going to pick the middle one, because 80% of the time that when you give somebody the options, they usually pick the middle one, right? You assume that when you give them the options that they're going to buy. And you assume that when they buy, they're going to keep this policy forever. All goes back to mindset, guys. And you have to assume. So really, to get to victory, and really it goes hand in hand with what Tricia was just saying in terms of, the way that she presents herself, the title that she gives herself, that she's a person of authority, that she's not a telemarketer, that she's a real credible, high up there in the corporate ladder type of person who's gotten the clearance to reach out to these people now by phone, when you assume that these people are going to take everything that you say and every vital piece of information that you share, and they're going to love it. They're going to want to talk to you, that they're going to give you the time, that they're going to love the benefits, that they're going to love the options, that they're going to pick the middle one, that they're going to buy it, that they're going to keep this forever mindset. But it is an assumed sale from the beginning all the way to the very end of the phone call.